Hello there, I'm TJ the Brickwright and welcome to my Lego room. Today I am super excited because we're going to be going over a few different things. We have an update on the contest to be able to go over for you, including the prizes. I also am going to be talking about the Book of Boba Fett and a kind of a miniature review of it. And then I'm also going to be talking about a possible controversy that involves my own channel and a winner of one of the previous contests. Did the Book of Boba Fett copy the winner of the Mynock 3 contest and their Naboo Starfighter modification build? That and more coming up in this video. As of right now, I realize there's a couple things I didn't tell you about. Number one, what are you playing for? What are you competing for? Why are you going to spend the next 5 to 6 months building and designing the most epic shuttle for Emperor Palpatine in the Final Order? Well, I've got some good news for you. I have the prizes here with me right now. The grand prize is going to be the Bad Batch shuttle. So you're competing to get your own copy of the Bad Batch shuttle. That's number one. Number two, the runner-up is going to also be receiving a shuttle, but in their case, they're going to be receiving Emperor Palpatine shuttle. Now, if the grand prize winner actually would prefer the Palpatine shuttle over the Bad Batch shuttle, I will accept that as a substitute. All right? But the runner-up for sure is going to be getting this one. And I'm pretty excited. And the plan is that I'll be able to send this directly to you if you are in the United States. If you are outside the United States, unfortunately, it's really, really expensive to send stuff, as I learned the hard way. So you'll be receiving an equivalent gift card. And one more clarification, that will be equal to the American value, not necessarily the country that you live in. I also learned that the hard way in the last contest. So that's what we're going to be working towards. All right. So grand prize, you're going to get the Bad Batch shuttle. Runner-up is going to get the Imperial shuttle, Palpatine shuttle. Now, depending on the number of people that come into this contest, I will have a hierarchy of lower level tiers that will come up, and that will include discounts to my Rebrickable store or possibly other small sets. But again, it just depends on how many people enter the contest. So I encourage everybody out there who's listening and watching this video to brush up your own designs, start experimenting, and come up with a minifigure scale shuttle that your own little Emperor Palpatine can be a part of. If you don't have a Palpatine minifigure, that's totally fine. You can kit bash something from your own minifigures, or if you want, you can just have a stand-in. It just has to carry him. You don't have to actually have the Emperor Palpatine minifigure to go with it. I want to talk about the Book of Boba Fett, because for those of you who are used to my channel and who have been watching my videos for at least the last year, you may have noticed that, oh, by the way, spoilers for Chapter 5 of the Book of Boba Fett. You have 3 seconds. I can't believe that Boba betrayed Fennec Shand and totally assassinated her. I'm beyond belief about that. I thought he actually had loyalty, but now he's going right back to his bounty hunter ways, and he's just working for the mayor again. I'm very upset about that. Obviously, I'm just kidding, but this is your last warning for the spoilers. Okay, so in Mandalorian Season 3, Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 5, Mandalorian shows up, and we get to see his transition into how he's going to be part of the Book of Boba Fett going forward. And he ended up getting a new ship. Now, I know you guys are freaking out. I was freaking out. I actually talked to one of the winners for the last contest, Alex, and he said when he saw that Mando was going to get a new ship, he was imagining what I was doing at that moment watching it, and I tell you, I was freaking out. But unfortunately, I wasn't freaking out in the same way that I would be had we gotten that in Season 3 of Mando, which comes out later this year. If that had been the case, I would think that maybe one of our ships, one of the designs that we came up with, might have made it into the show. But because this is part of the Book of Boba Fett, my contest didn't even start until after they were done with the principal filming, which means they were way beyond the design. Honestly, Mando Season 3 was probably there as well. But when I watched it, I was excited. I thought maybe one of our ships gets in there. And technically, it was. It just wasn't from the Razor Crest Mark II contest. It was actually from the Mynock 3 contest. It was this guy. So we got a modified Naboo Starfighter, bigger guns, engines that, while not bigger, were heavily modified. We got the greebles on the front. We called that really well. The third engine in the back, really awesome. So our winner of the Mynock 3 contest ended up totally knocking it out of the park. Never would have thought that Mando would have transitioned from a bounty hunter style ship to a starfighter. However, it makes perfect sense for the character, in my own opinion. And I absolutely loved it. I thought this would be a good time to go ahead and go in on what I think about the Book of Boba Fett so far, because a lot of people apparently haven't liked it. For those of you who would like to know more, you're welcome to jump onto the podcast. I go into much greater detail with my brother-in-law. The podcast is called Raising Nerds. I think you can find it pretty much anywhere. We're on Apple. I think it's on Spotify, but I'm not sure. I know we're definitely on Podbean and a couple of the other little ones as well. So if you want to check it out, it's Raising Nerds. We get on there. We basically do it as an excuse to get together and geek out and nerd out and have an exciting time. And you'll be able to hear a little bit more about our trip to Disney, which was awesome. We talk about it a little bit more there, but I'll give you a brief rundown right here. I don't understand why people don't like it. When Book of Boba Fett first was coming out, like the week before it came out, I had a thought, and it really protected me from being disappointed. And I thought back to the first episodes of The Mandalorian, and I said, okay, I'm really hyped up for Boba Fett, but the first episodes of The Mandalorian were always a slower episode. The very first episode was exciting. There was some action, there was some fun, but it didn't really do that much. It was kind of an introduction episode. And then I thought about season 2 of Mandalorian, and while fighting a great dragon is freaking awesome, he didn't really progress in his quest to bring Grogu to a Jedi. So nothing really happened plot-wise. So when I walked into Book of Boba Fett and watched it, I said, you know what? Nothing's probably going to happen in this episode. It's going to be an introduction. We're going to meet some of the key players, and darn, I was right on. We did meet a few key players. There were a few action scenes. There was some cool stuff. But in all reality, nothing really happened. And it has followed the same formula as Mandalorian, which is, we have slight progressions in the story. But for the most part, we're here to have fun. We're here for the ride. And so I was totally on board. I loved it. I've loved every episode. I totally get it. I get why some people don't like it. And their criticisms are fair, but I think it was my lower expectations that saved me from that. Now, this last episode, this is going to be a little bit maybe disagreeable to some people, but this episode was actually my least favorite episode of the Book of Boba Fett. It was my favorite episode of The Mandalorian because I actually got a new episode of Mandalorian and I wasn't expecting it. But I definitely wanted to see Boba. I wanted to watch Boba progress and see how he moved forward in this environment. We've only got 2 episodes left, which makes me a little worried, especially if we continue to follow Mando on his journey to see his little friend and bring the Beskar present that he had made. I don't know how we're going to fix this and finish this story of Boba Fett in 2 episodes if we spend one of those following Mando. As it was, I was excited. I really enjoyed the episode, absolutely. But where's Boba Fett? He wasn't even in this one. It's called the Book of Boba Fett, and he wasn't even in the episode. I hear a lot of people really enjoyed this episode and even thought it was the best one of the Book of Boba Fett, which is sad because it's not even a Book of Boba Fett episode to me. But again, I still liked it. I still enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to see where they go with the next episode. If they continue on and follow Mando to see his little friend, that's going to be great. I want to see that. I just didn't know if I wanted to see it in the Book of Boba Fett. So, as an extra word on the Mynock 3 contest, done by Ben Bricks. By the way, I don't think I mentioned that before. So it was Ben Bricks. You can find him on Instagram. And he built some really awesome stuff. Anyway, so an extra little word. If people ever have any kind of an idea of whether or not Lego steals ideas from their fans, or if Lucasfilm steals ideas from their fans, I think it's pretty well known that there are definitely times when they borrow stuff from people. However, if you build something in the Star Wars universe, there's a good chance that Lucasfilm will take it because they invented the universe, and copyright law, the way it is right now, if you build something in the Star Wars universe, chances are it can get taken, and legally they have a right to it. Especially if you call it something like a TIE fighter or some sort of a blank wing. Lucasfilm pretty much owns all that, which means Disney now owns all that. But when we look at the similarities between these two crafts, there are a lot of differences. And when you think about how you would modify a Naboo Starfighter, there's really not a ton of stuff that you can do. In Ben Brick's case, he didn't modify the droid slot, so that's one difference. He did put bigger guns on here, but if you look at the differences between the Book of Boba Fett Naboo Starfighter and this one, the engines are more wider and offset because he added completely different cannons on this particular ship, whereas in the Mandalorian, he just extended those. Now, when you think about it, if you're trying to modify a Naboo Starfighter with weapons, there's only a couple places you can do it. There are the two cannons in the front, and then there's the one missile launcher underneath. Now, we haven't seen anything about the missile launcher, so I wonder whether or not that is going to be a little teaser or a spoiler for a future episode. But either way, there's only so many places you can modify it. Now, if you wanted to add engines to a Naboo Starfighter, there's a lot of different ways that you can go. However, the easiest, the most streamlined, and the one that affects the shape of the ship the least is adding one in the middle on the back. Now, the one in the Mandalorian is smaller, fits kind of underneath the rear spike, whereas this one completely replaces that. So if you're having a question whether or not Lucasfilm stole Ben Brick's idea, they absolutely did not. I see plenty of differences between the two of them, and any similarities are most likely purely coincidental. I've had Lego do the exact, very similar thing to me with my Kylo Ren shuttle. I invented a mechanism where you could turn the engines and raise and lower the wings. Now, then Lego came out with the black version of the Kylo Ren shuttle, and it did that exact thing. Now, their system was much more elegant and even had a spring assist, so it was way easier to do. However, you still turned an engine to bring those wings up and down. The placement of it, the position of it, the pieces that they used to connect it together were so similar that I had real questions about it. And I would have loved a shout out from Lego saying, hey, you know, we actually did see your idea, thought it was a great idea to do, and we tweaked it and modified it to our own, and obviously you can see we made a huge improvement. And I'd be like, yeah, absolutely. I don't want anything like physical. I don't want a free set. Didn't want any of that stuff. All I wanted was for somebody to say, yeah, I did see yours and I thought you had a great idea. If anyone had a question about that, Ben Bricks, no, you didn't get copied. Sorry about that. But obviously you were onto something. That's a huge compliment. I mean, if they had come up with something even close to the Broken Eagle, I would have been out of my mind excited. But they didn't. And that's totally okay. And I think this new direction is going to be really sweet for everybody to see. And I can't wait to see how it pans out and where we go from here. Thank you so much for hanging out with me in my Lego room. I've been TJ the Brickwright. And until next time, play well. Bye.